Back again with Bowling Over 50, I am Alan Berger. This YouTube channel is designed for bowlers over 50 years old, or if you're a beginning bowler just coming into the sport and wanting to learn, or an intermediate bowler that's just trying to find some tips and tricks and little nuggets to help you improve. Today we're going to be talking about ball maintenance and how to make your bowling balls last longer, and why the bowling ball seems to not hook after a little while. Right now we're going to talk about bowling balls and bowling ball maintenance. Most amateur bowlers only have one or two balls. If you only bowl a league or two a week, you may only have one or two balls. And if that's the case, you want to certainly protect and make sure your balls are upkept so they can be used for a very long time. So one of the things that happens down on the lane is there's oil on the lane. And a bowling ball like this is made out of reactive resin. And what that is, it's some urethane, it's some plastics, it's all kinds of chemicals with a plasticizer that when put into a shape of a bowling ball, the cover of this bowling ball has little tiny pores. And those pores absorb oil. At a certain point, this ball will stop absorbing oil and the pores might close up over time. And so there's a lot of factors, and I'll go into those factors on how this ball kind of starts to deteriorate. And then we'll talk about how you can revitalize your bowling ball. But over time, as the ball goes down the lane, it's seeing some friction on the back part of the lane with a bunch of oil that's now starting to be absorbed into the ball like a sponge. Not as much as a sponge, but similar. There's pores in there, the oil gets inside the ball. As the ball is going down the lane, it sees some friction. That friction actually scars the top of the bowling ball. Then the ball goes off the back of the pin deck, and then here is where it really starts to see some wear and tear. In most bowling centers, a lot of bowling centers, there is a shaker board that shakes everything, that gets the pins and the bowling ball to the back so that the equipment can pick it up. There is friction, there's carpet on those shaker boards, and there's friction that actually smooths out this bowling ball. Then, once it gets past that, there's ball lifters and conveyor belts and accelerator conveyor belts to get the ball to come back down to here. It comes through a ball return like this that is spinning. There's all kinds of places for friction after the ball leaves the lanes, and more damage is done to the bowling ball by the equipment than by the lane itself and the pins that it hits. Over time, that bowling ball will get what we call lane shined. And lane shine is a misnomer. It's not actually the bowling lane that's shining it up completely. Some of it is the lane. Majority of it is what happens to the ball after it leaves the lane. And so those pores start to get filled up with gunk and junk, and oil, when you throw the ball down the lane, gets into those pores, and the ball begins to not hook anymore. It becomes what we call lane shined. So if you had a solid ball that you took and put 500 grit on it, over time, in some people think it's 3 or 4 games. It takes a little bit longer than that, but over time, that 500 grit bowling ball that you have sanded to 500 will start working its way up to a mean of about 4,700 grit. A pearl ball that may start at 5,000 or 6,000 grit that's shiny may come down to 4,700 grit. That's kind of the average. When it gets to that point, it becomes what we call lane shined. So the ball just won't absorb any more oil. It doesn't have any pores to grab a hold of the lane. It just really stops to hook. So the first defense in this is some kind of ball cleaner. I recommend you cleaning your bowling ball every time after you're done with a 3-game set. You cannot clean your bowling ball while you're bowling league. You can only clean your bowling ball before or after. I always try to clean my bowling balls after. If it's a bowling ball I'm going to use quite a lot, I want to make sure that I get all the oil out of the bowling ball. Products like this will help draw a little bit of oil out of the cover. Not a whole lot, but a little bit of oil out of the cover. And all the belt dust and grime and oil that comes from throwing the ball down the lane that gets stuck on your bowling ball, you can clean all of that with a little bit of detergent. This is basically what it is. And that's a good first step in protecting your bowling balls and help keeping your bowling balls last a little longer. There are other products out there today that will help you. One of the things that most people are not aware of is that there is a plasticizer in the bowling ball. It is a liquid, for lack of intensive purposes. It's a liquid that keeps that ball fresh. As you purchase that ball, from that moment on, your bowling ball starts to evaporate plasticizer. And when all of that plasticizer is gone, the ability for that ball to absorb oil is greatly diminished. It also can cause a few other things with your bowling ball, like the ball cracking. If you've had a ball crack, it might be because it's reduced to plasticizer. A quick way to reduce your plasticizer is to store your bowling ball on carpet. Carpet will suck the plasticizer out of the bowling ball. Not the oil from the lane, what you wish would happen, but the plasticizer begins to leach out of the ball and your ball will crack. Too much heat will evaporate plasticizer too fast. Bowling balls crack with differences in temperature, high heat, and then really cold, going back and forth. That'll crack a bowling ball. But the most important thing that happens is the plasticizer leaches out of a bowling ball. There are products out there today that you can buy that's a bag that keeps the ball in a bag when you're not using it to maintain some of the plasticizer in the bowling ball. I don't particularly use them, but they do work. Your ball will never be as fresh as it was from the day you bought it unless you keep it in a plastic bag when you're not bowling with it. That is another option, is to get plastic bags and put your balls in plastic bags. That will maintain the plasticizer in the ball longer if you go that direction. But at some point in time, after you've bowled 80 to 100 games on a bowling ball and you're cleaning it, the ball does become lane shined, and you will need to do something about that. You don't have to do it every time after league. Again, 70, 80, 100 games, you need to take your ball to a pro shop and have them do a refresh on that bowling ball. It doesn't bring it back to where it was new, but it will certainly improve the performance of the bowling ball as you move forward. We'll show that next. Okay, we're here in the pro shop, and I'm going to show you a few tools that the pro shop will use to help revitalize your ball. There is a way to revitalize your bowling ball. And it will start here with this machine right here. This is what they call a detox machine. Pro shops have different ways, different methods of trying to extract oil out of a bowling ball. One method is to put it in a big heater and basically bake the ball. Get it hot enough where the oil kind of leaches out of the bottom of it. That is one way. There's a couple of different devices. You can actually purchase a device that handles one bowling ball that will kind of get some of the oil out of it. The heat technique works. It's just not my favorite technique, but it does work. Some people try to do it at home by soaking a bowling ball in boiling water. I don't recommend you putting it in your oven. That usually ends very, very badly. But soaking your bowling ball in boiling water that's got Dawn dishwashing liquid will get some of the oil out of it. It won't work like some of the equipment that the Pro Shop has. This is kind of my favorite piece of equipment for this. It uses microsonic vibrations to vibrate the oil out of a bowling ball. So they will fill this container here with water, usually warm water, and then they will take the bowling ball and put it in this basket, and then they will, with the fingers up, because you don't want water in your finger holes or your thumb hole, they will sit it down in here, turn the machine on, and microsonic pulses will shake this bowling ball and try to remove some of the oil. It will not get out all of the oil. Some of that oil is in that ball to stay. By not baking it, it leaves some of the plasticizer in there. Still, some plasticizer is going to come out along with the oil, but this process leaves as much plasticizer in the bowling ball as you possibly can, so I like this technique. After they are done with trying to remove some of the oil out of the ball, they will take it to a machine that looks something like this. If you ever watched any how they make a bowling ball, that is a very similar looking machine to what they use in the factory. So what it is it's 3 pads, sanding pads. These happen to be 2000 grit, and they have Velcro that goes on these that move around, allow this to shape in the form of the bowling ball. This little gadget up here drips water onto it so that it's just not dry on dry. It actually has some water to it, so it actually helps clean the ball and make sure all the shavings that are coming from the sanding come off into this little pan. So what they will do is they'll take a bowling ball and they'll set it in this machine right here. And when they turn it on, it has a pattern to it, and it rotates and rotates and gets all 100% around the ball, makes it smooth, and whatever the sanding pad grit is what the ball will end up. So once they detox it, get the oil out of the ball, they will come and put it on this. They will start at 500 and they'll work their way up to what the factory finish of the ball was when it came out of the factory. That gets rid of the lane shine. That opens up the pores, allows the ball to absorb more oil in the future. And it is a great way to preserve a bowling ball that is not quite hooking the way it used to. It'll never hook the way it did when it first came out of the box. Over time, it's just going to get more full of oil because you can't get rid of all of it. And lane shine, the stuff that happens in the equipment, it is going to adjust the surface of the bowling ball. So, but all of this will help preserve your bowling ball and make it last a little bit longer. Then there's another piece of equipment that I use quite a bit, which is a ball spinner. I like to touch up my surfaces quite a bit when I bowl a tournament, and I've used a sanding pad to adjust the surface of the bowling ball. I bring it back home, and that bowling ball may not be working for the next pattern that I would be bowling on, or if I want to throw it in league. So I will quickly put it in a ball spinner here, which basically that's what it does, is it spins a bowling ball. And you can use sanding pads while it's spinning to add surface to the bowling ball, and you still want to use some water to make sure that you save your sanding pads and that it comes off the bowling ball a little bit easier. So that's the tools here in the Pro Shop that they can use to detox, get rid of the oil, and resurface the ball. Honestly, you only need to do this part of it every 80 to 100 games. You don't need to do it after every set, and you certainly don't need to touch up your surface after every set. But again, remember what I told you. A ball that starts at 500 grit that looks like a snowball like this one, eventually over time will rise to 4,700 based on the lane, based on the equipment in the back. So then if you need this ball to be a snow tire like it is right now, you do need to put some surface on it. The best way to do that is bring it into your pro shop and have them do that professionally. If your ball is at 5,000 or 6,000 pearl, like some of these newer balls that are out here right here, eventually over time, they will, instead of being 5,000 or 6,000, they're going to take themselves down to, around 4,700 grit, and the pores are going to close up and they won't be absorbing oil and they won't hook as much as they used to. So that is a little bit on lane shine, how to remove it, how to take care of your equipment. If you do these things, you have a strong chance of bowling with this ball for a very, very long time. So that's Bowling Over 50. If you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe to our channel. Not only that, but you can go to icegear.shop, get the chamois you see, the jerseys that we have. You can get all of those kind of things and do them custom at icegear.shop. So for the next time, I want you guys to have fun bowling and good bowling.